Da 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 da. Is this thing on? Check one, check two. Is this thing on? Yep, it is on. And I think we got some people looking. If y'all watching right now, don't be silent. Say what up, though, so I know y'all there. What up, though? All right, let's get to it, dog. We don't do no introductions on this shit. We live. You already know what it is, dog. BBW. Everybody loves BBW, man. That's beers, bourbon, whiskey. This is the motherfucking happy hour, dog. Let's talk some shit. Y'all already know who we are. We ain't doing no intros. Let's talk shit. What we gonna talk about? Bo, put us in there, dog. What you want to talk about, dog?
We just talking about. So I don't know if y'all follow football or not, but there's a story about Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Steelers, not really putting on black coaches like people think he should. You know, really all his staffs. You know, he's always hired white assistants or white coordinators and whatnot. So that led me to kind of ask the question, like, are black people, they got some pull, they got some power, that they got sitting in positions of authority, are they responsible for like putting other black people on?
Nah. It's a good question, dog. What you think?
Me?
Yeah,
I think you know what I think. Yeah. I mean, I've done it.
You already know what I think too. You already know what I think. Yeah. And I see. Just all right. Look, we gonna go around first. I'm sorry. Let's start with our guest first and shit. Square, what you say, bro? What do you think? Because I get long winded.
Off the dribble, like you got to first and foremost.
Yeah.
At least give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because they typically don't get it. We typically don't get it. So just try and put them in a pool that we normally don't get to swim in, and then go from there.
Yeah. Now everything else is up to them. Obviously, yeah. I'm not here to do handouts and shit, but I am here to give you a helping hand. That's the way I look at it, and shit. And because that's all I want. You feel me? Angry Principal, what you say, dog?
Hey, look, you gotta try your best to put your people on, especially when you know they qualified.
Yeah.
And they can help you out. What's his name? My man, Bruce Arians, showed us exactly what's supposed to happen when you put those people in color in place. Actual former players or coaches, and they actually did the damn thing and got themselves the Super Bowl.
Right.
So you can't tell me that these people are not qualified and able to make a difference on your team. Hell, even the offensive coordinator for Kansas City Chiefs, black man who didn't get a job this year. So,
right.
Which doesn't make sense. Especially when your mind is so great that people can't figure out how to solve until this year, how to solve your offense.
Hell yeah.
Put a defense in place to stop it. Hell, they went through 15, 14 games and no one could stop them.
Exactly.
That's pretty good. And all you got to do is look at the people that actually have experience in doing these things, and depending on their color, hey, these players, they relate to the people that look like them.
That's the truth. And that's the thing. Like it's too many, and I don't want to stick to just the NFL, by saying this, but it's too much black personnel to not have some representation. And I say that in any corporate setting. But real quick though, I gotta tell this story. I done told it 50 million times, but in case you didn't know, and shit, I'm about to tell it again. So I was working in corporate America. I was working in General Motors and shit. I guess I can say it now because fuck them. But I had a black team leader. I'm sorry, a black manager. I take that back. He was a manager, not a team leader. So he had some influence, some pull or whatever. And I remember that it was a situation I had. Just long story short, I had a coworker who thought that I didn't do some work that I had actually done, and so two things happened with this. I forgot. Yeah, so it's two things with this dude and shit. This is the first thing. So anyway, we had a little conversation and shit. I had actually done the work I was supposed to, but the thing is, she had sent me an email and my manager an email. So she was wrong in the whole situation. She apologized, all that shit. But what I was mad about was that me and Dog, like the only black people, only black dudes in the office and shit, right? I just felt like at some point, I felt like he was supposed to at least been like, look, dog, I know she sent me this email or whatever, and I know you had things handled, and like just address the situation because it's an actual situation. But he didn't even address it, so I thought he was kind of weak for that. So then after that, we ended up having a meeting, like a one-on-one meeting or whatever. We was talking about my performance, all this, all these things about the whole group in its entirety. Because when I was working for General Motors, we were working through like a third party. So we go through all this shit. My numbers is good and all this shit, and then our contract get terminated. I'm just like, dog, you in a position that you know all these things, and you couldn't even give me the heads up though. You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like even if you don't give me the helping hand or the leeway to get to somewhere, I just felt like by us being the only 2 black dudes in the office, like you could have at least been like, dog, you know they getting ready to can y'all niggas and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you know you about to be out of here. So give me the heads up. Like I think you at least owe me that. So even if you don't give me the helping hand or all the avenues to be all successful or whatever, I expect you at the end of the day to at least have the common courtesy to like look out for me a little bit. And I know that maybe for some people that's tough. Like maybe you get into these positions and you're not worried about nobody else. You worried about yourself and that's it. I get it. That's pretty selfish and shit. But because there's so few of us in some of these positions, but I feel like, yeah, I'm not going to say it's an obligation, but I do expect it though. I expect that shit to happen. Like if I'm in a position of power, I'm going to at least tell you how to get to certain things or how to navigate things because nobody told me how to do it. So I feel like I owe that to you to try to help this transition a little bit, you know, be a little bit smoother. A lot of people ain't like that. They just selfish. They out for what they need and what they want, and that's it.
So let me ask y'all this question, right? Like, you know, you saying that about your manager and all that type of stuff. You know, y'all think that sometimes, and maybe this happened with Mike Tomlin. I don't know. I think sometimes when black men and women are in power, they're scared of white folks or whoever pointing back at them like, oh man, Carl done hired all black folks.
Yeah.
Carl done hired all black folks, man.
Oh, I'm sure
You
they're
know?
scared.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're scared.
So I mean, as black professional men, what do y'all think about that? Yeah, would that factor into y'all decision? You know, would you think about that at all?
And see, and this is a tough one for me. You know what I'm saying? This is a tough one for me because I'm always gonna be like, it's a tough one for me to answer for everybody to understand. Let me just say that. Because it's not a tough decision for me. I'm with it. I don't give a fuck. If this is what I believe and I want to bring these people on, I'm with it. But I say that loosely and I say that easily because I ain't got no family and I ain't got no kids. Some of these motherfuckers, like, they got family and kids depending on shit and they don't want to ruin.
That's my question. Like, even if you got family and kids, I mean, what are you scared of? That's I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit. Like, I honestly want to know, like, what are you scared of, right?
I think those people are scared of I use air quotes, quote unquote, security or whatever job that is.
But how though, right? So if you can go back and you can prove like, hey, this person is qualified, blah blah blah, this and that, and you can give like tangible evidence why you hired a certain person.
True.
You know, why would I don't know. I just don't get that. That's like, why would you be scared? I don't know. I mean, why would you be scared? Is it just like
that's a good question?
Conditioned to be that way or what?
It's obviously it's conditioning because now that you mention it, I hadn't even thought about it like that. I just automatically figure a nigga with a family is scared to speak up at work because he don't want to lose his job. Like, but you looking at it like, nigga, you ain't do shit wrong, so what the fuck you scared of? Yeah,
you know,
I feel you.
There's nothing wrong at all. So,
that's an interesting way to look at it and shit though. And like I said, I'm always willing to even the conversation we was having on our show the other day. When I was saying, like, if nigga get $1 million, shit, quit my job and shit, like it's a no-brainer. Because, like, I ain't making $1 million in a year, and I hate my fucking job. So, like, it seemed like it's a no-brainer. But then even you was like, sometimes there's some stipulations on how your money is tied up in your job. You can't just quit. Like, you got fucking stock options. You quit, you gonna lose them and shit like that.
And they do that shit on purpose. Like, you know, some shit doesn't vest until 3, 4, 5 years later or whatever.
To make you not be able to leave.
Yeah, so then you got to make that decision. Like, you know, and if you got a lot of time and resources vested in that, then, like, yeah, you know, you don't want to walk away from it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
For sure. I don't know, Square, what you think about that shit, though? About, like, speaking up at work or taking it. I want to say that, but I don't want to use the word all loose like that, but I guess I'm going to say it that way anyway. Taking advantage of your position. Like, if I got a position where I'm able to hire this motherfucker, and they got the credentials and possibly wouldn't have even been looked at if I didn't bring them to the forefront, like, what would be wrong with taking advantage of your power, your position? And I ask you because I know you got kids, so it's like, sometimes if it's going to be a risk, then sometimes your family make you kind of think twice about those risks. Risks that I don't think about because I ain't got no kids. I'm like, shit, if I lose a job and shit, like, I ain't got to worry about nobody starving but me. You know what I'm saying? So it's a difference. So, like, what you say about that, bro?
You do have to weigh that into it.
Yeah.
But I would just base it off of, once you have that group of individuals based off performance. So they might not even have everything that somebody else might have on that resume when you looking over it. But if you put them in that position and then they perform, I think that kind of speaks for itself a lot.
Yeah.
I think you
For
gotta
sure.
get away with it on that too.
Right.
I guess I just don't understand
Where the fear comes
where the
from
risk
at all.
would come from. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah, you know, you go back, and then, you know, that's one of the things that happens all the time. You know, when I'm interviewing somebody at work or whatever, I'm like, I make sure I take very detailed notes on
Yeah.
things they're saying of our interview and whatnot, right? So if somebody does try to check me, you know, later on, hey, well, why'd you hire this person and blah, 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 and this and that, you know? Well, this is why, you know, and boom, I go back to my notes, go back to my receipts or whatever, right? And this is what I was looking for.
Well, let me ask you this, though, because you mentioned that before. Like, do you take detailed notes because you feel like there will be some backlash?
For several reasons, right? First
Yeah.
of all, I want to be fair to that candidate, right?
Right.
So I'm not just going to blow up whatever the fuck they say. Like, if, you know, I'm not going to remember everything they say, so I want to take detailed notes. If I got to go back
Right.
and, you know, if I got to compare 2 or 3 different candidates, you know, I've got good notes and shit to
Yeah.
do that shit with, right?
Right.
And then I think the other thing, too, is like, yeah, you know, you got to really watch your back. You know, like I
Yeah.
said, I keep all my receipts. You know?
Yeah, for sure. It's a fucked up thing to even think about, like, that's a situation, though. Like, especially, like, being in a, like, kind of in an administrative role and shit, where you kind of dictate who's being hired in that whole hiring process and things like that. Like, is it an added pressure, like, being black from both sides, though? Like, is it added pressure to help motherfuckers? And is it added pressure because you black to perform for whoever you working for? Like, what's... Like, is one harder, tougher than the other? I guess it's the
For
question.
me, it's not pressure at all to you know to put somebody, you know, put a black person in a position to succeed. You know, because especially if they're qualified, right? You know, because if they're not qualified, first of all, if they're not qualified, I'm not even gonna talk to them anyway. Black, white, green, brown, whatever. You know what I
Whatever.
mean? Yeah.
Right, hell yeah.
Okay.
I feel
But
you.
if you black and you qualified, whatnot, then yeah,
That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'll be serious. I do. If you went to an HBCU, that at least get your
You said that
application
before.
on top of my list.
You said that
I'm
before.
gonna look at you. I'm gonna call you. I'm even gonna put an interview in for you.
Yeah.
But you still have to perform. You got to show me that you know what you're talking about and you can do the job that's entailed. Now
Right.
there have been times where I've been trying my best to give you the benefit of the doubt, but it wound up being a really bad interview. I can't help you then, especially when I have a committee of people that make a decision on whether to hire you. And it's not just my decision. I protect myself by having more than just one voice in the room to make the decision on whether or not to hire you.
Right.
So you got to come with your A game. You got to know your business. But at the same time, you got in the door just because of where you were and what you've been doing,
Right.
and where you went to school. That's
a
that's
good
my
point,
bias.
too.
I know that's my bias, but it is what it is on that.
That plays into it, like you say, with it's typically
We not
several
coming.
levels of interviews. So you
Yeah.
might not be the only one. So if you put them through, or you might be the last say, but somebody else, you know, it's 2 other people that's going through that interview. You might have that pressure to think like, I'm not just gonna push him through where I normally would if it was just my say. So
Yeah.
think about that.
Hey,
aspect.
CYA at all times.
you
Yeah.
have to.
It's us.
You
Yeah,
have to
to.
CYA.
I mean, it shitty is to say that, and it shitty. I hate
I was-
doing it.
I was just gonna
hate
say.
doing that shit, but like you got to.
So I do, and I'm gonna ask both of y'all and shit this question though. Like, is it any added pressure? I know you don't like the word pressure and shit, but is it any added pressure and shit when you are hiring a black person over a white person? Like, is there any pressure
Not for me.
to prove like why you doing it?
Not for me.
Nah.
There have been instances where that has become a factor with the people that happen to be on the committee with me
Okay.
to decide to hire. Because they come in with their biases.
Right.
So they automatically write somebody off that I may actually love
Right.
and want based on just the fact that where they went. Because if you went to a black college, I already know that you have gone through the same things that I've gone through and you're prepared on a certain level that not necessarily majority
from
institutions
PWI,
would be prepared for.
Yeah.
If you went to an HBCU, you're going with the bare bones and you're doing things at a clip with limited resources,
Right.
and you're getting the job done. To me, that means you're working harder, you're doing more things, you're more creative, and you're more resourceful. If you're coming from a PWI, then hey, you may not have had to do all those things that are necessary. So yeah, I do look at you different. But if there's a Caucasian person on the same committee, they got a totally different way of looking at this.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to articulate why you want to hire that person over the other. And
Because they're
if
not gonna understand the explanation you just
Right.
gave.
But
Yeah.
if they come to the interview with their game face on and they know their stuff and they're on top of their game, I have zero problem going all out for you.
Yeah.
I may not win the vote, but at least I'm gonna go all out for you because
Right.
you came to the table with everything laid out and you're doing a good job of what you're supposed to do. But
Yeah.
we still have to be prepared.
Yeah.
And at the same time.
And that's the thing, preparation on both sides, right? So I want to reinstate that, like, because I do, this could be an unreasonable expectation and shit, but I do expect when I encounter black people in positions of power, especially in corporate America, I do expect you to do, and this could, again, might be a bad expectation, but I expect you to do a little bit more to try to at least get me on the right track, or hit me to some shit. Even if you're not the one that's hiring me, like, at least let me know what I need to do to get hired. Like, something like hook. I hate to use that word, but hook a nigga up though, right? Hook me up a little bit. Give me something, because not many of us have been able to get to that position.
But
so, and that could be an unreasonable expectation.
See, you got to be open to it though.
Right, but also too, I want to say this. I want to put all that together. I expect that only because when I come to some shit, I am prepared for that role. So don't get me wrong when I say that I expect you to help other black people out. I need you to help other qualified black people out. I don't want people who are unqualified to think that you just go get the hookup because it's a nigga in position. I'm not saying that at all, because like when I come, I'm coming equipped. I just want to make sure that you in a position, help me out a little bit. I'm not gonna come with nothing though. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's some people who come with nothing and just expect you to hook them up because
here's the other thing too, though, right? You said hook me up, you know.
And I hated to use that term.
No, I don't hate that you use that shit at all, because white folks have been doing that forever. That's networking. You know what I mean? That's what it is. You know, like with the old saying, who you know, get you a job, and what you know, keep you there, or whatever. And that shit too, though. But I don't.
You say don't even feel bad about saying that.
No.
I feel you.
I don't. You know, I can understand why some people.
I was just trying to be politically correct.
I can understand why some black folks in those positions would. Like, I get that. And just me personally, I don't have that fear, right? Because I know when I'm making a hiring decision, like, I know I'm making the best decision for my situation. And if anybody was to call me on that shit, I'm just gonna go back to my notes and say, boom, this is why. You know what I mean? Simple as that.
I'm almost afraid. I can say this because I'm not in no forms of corporate America now, but I'm almost afraid to be in that position. Cause I'm really feeling like I'm gonna hire some unqualified black people over some white people, just cause, like, I'm glad I'm not in that role.
You wouldn't though, right? Because that's gonna make your job harder, right?
Yeah.
And that's because everything that they do is gonna reflect upon you, right? So I don't think you like. I don't care if they black, white, green, and brown again, man. Like, if I'm interviewing somebody and, like, I can tell they're not qualified for that shit, don't matter what color you are. I see you, bro. You know.
I give you a great example.
Okay.
I had one of my boys call me and say, "Hey, I got a candidate for your position. Can you interview him?" Cool. I interviewed him, and that was the hookup right there. Is the interview. Now, when my man came into the interview, when I say he came in, like, he went straight to City Slickers.
City
and
Slickers.
bought his suit.
Yeah, the Steve Harvey joint.
He was as dapper as you can get. But in the midst of the interview, the pressure hit him so hard, my man started undressing during the interview. He took his tie off. He took his shirt, his coat off. He unbuttoned his vest. He popped, and he started sweating. It was one of the worst interviews I have ever had in my life. And so I sit there and I was like, I can't help him. I can't help him at all, because,
like, I want to be able to help him,
I have to CYA. I got to cover me.
And it's gotta make sense.
You had a horrible interview, and the people around you said that was bad. We all
saying it.
Saw the same thing. Now, my boy calls me like, "What happened? Why are you hiring?" I said, "Dude,
ask him what
the
happened."
Worst interview I've ever seen in my life." Now,
that's a lot to be said.
I can't hire you. There's nothing I can do for you. I got you in the door. That's the best that I can do is get you in the door, because I have to work. I have to continue to work. So, and I have to keep my reputation among my staff members at a high level, so they know that I'm not just about hooking somebody up. You got to be qualified for the job. Because if you're not qualified, you make my job harder. That means I got to spend more time with you, getting you where you need to be, instead of me just.
And I might as well do it my damn self if that's the case.
If that's the case, and see, and this is just one of those things that I look at a little bit differently and shit. I look at it that way, the same way that I say that I can never be the police, because I'm gonna steal drug money. So it's the same thing. Like, some jobs just ain't for me. Like, I'm stealing money, nigga. Like, I couldn't be the police. I'm taking shit. Just like I couldn't be nobody's hiring manager, because I'm probably go hire the wrong motherfuckers. Like, I know my shortcomings, so I know what not to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would never try to do nobody's human resources. Come go make bad decisions.
I mean, you know, we human. We're going to make bad decisions, right? You know, just trying to get as much information as you can to think you're making the right one, right? And, you know, in my career, I've done well over 1,000 interviews. You know what I mean? Not like been interviewed 1,000, but conducted over 1,000 interviews, right? The interviewer.
Yeah.
And, you know, so unconscious bias is something that plays in sometimes, right? And what I mean by that, sometimes, you know, somebody, you know, we've been taught to look dapper and all that good stuff when you go to an interview and whatnot. So the real situation right here, that panel, sitting on the panel interview, you know, somebody, you know, black dude interview, whatnot.
Okay.
And he had on this wrinkled ass white T-shirt. You know what I mean?
A wrinkled T-shirt.
Yeah, a wrinkled T-shirt. So you know, obviously everybody is, you know, attention's on the wrinkled T-shirt. You know what
exactly.
I mean? You know, asking questions, you know, trying to get these, you know, behavioral based answers, you know, fact, you know, based answers, things like that. And right now I know, I'm like, damn, this motherfucker's been in a lot of shit. Know what he talking about, you know, whatever, right? So we get to the debrief, and the other people on the committee are like, oh, did you see his T-shirt? Oh, blah 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 blah. I'm like, did you hear what the motherfucker said? You know, did you listen to the content? You don't know what would have happened, you know, from the time he left his house till he got to that interview.
So they didn't though. They didn't listen to his content.
Right, and then with the situation that happened is the motherfucking airlines lost his goddamn luggage, and all he had to wear at that time was that fucking T-shirt he had, right? So, boom, that's what it was, right? Yeah. So what I'm getting at is, no matter what somebody look like and all that good shit, you know, you can't let that shit play into that decision. And I think all too often when you have people, you know, these white hiring managers and whatnot, they see that. You know, and then they, oh, well, he did this. Oh, well, she did that. Blah, blah, blah. Can a motherfucker do the job, right? Did they answer the shit that you asked them, right? Are they capable of doing it? Are they qualified? Will they, you know, do they have, you know, room to grow? That type of shit.
Right.
If yes, then hire them motherfuckers. I don't give a fuck if they wear rags.
I am an interview snob. I know I am. It is a fault of mine. If you don't come in looking the way you want, looking like the job that you want, I got an issue with it. So I'll give you an example. Lady comes into me, she wants a job, but she looked like she had just been out in the garden. She had on jeans and a T-shirt. She looked like she had just been out in the garden messing around with, her knees were full of dirt and everything. I mean, she was straight up gardening. That's the only way I can put it. And she came in for an interview. I'm already turned off because you walked in looking like you just got finished baling hay instead of coming in looking like you ready to actually get a job. And so, yeah, I'm an interview snob, and it turned me off immediately. Now, could she have done the job? Absolutely. She would have been perfect for the job. But you didn't come in actually representing yourself the way you should have. You thought so little of what I'm trying to give you. You thought so little of the position that's offered that you came in looking like that. I got an issue with it.
And see, I don't know. I guess I just look at that differently, though.
This is different.
I'm not saying you're wrong. You know,
right. This is different.
And I'm not saying I'm right. You know, but that's how I look at it differently. You know what I mean? So when I see that, and I'm more worried about content. Like, yes, if you show up and you swearing and doing this and blah blah blah, that's a little different, right? Yeah, you doing
I know I'm superficial on that part, but being an interview snob the way I am, you got to come correct. You got to know that you want this job for a reason, and you got to look the part, because you not only represent yourself, you represent me. And if you're coming in looking like you're baling hay all day and you're trying to do whatever I'm asking you to do, that doesn't equate to what I'm asking for to have happen. You are a representative of me, and when you look bad, I can't help you.
And I think that also, you know, I think the organization plays into that too, right? So, you know, there's a certain organizational culture each company, whatever, has, you know.
Right.
You know, it may be, you know, like, so when I was with Amazon, they didn't give a fuck what you wore to an interview. You know what I mean? Wear a T-shirt and fucking sandals. They didn't care, right?
Right.
And then, you know, in certain government organizations I've been a part of, then, yeah, you better wear a three-piece and, like, look sharp and shit, right? Because that's the culture. You know, that's how they work every day. You know, so I think that plays into it as well. But, again, with me being a black man and in a situation that I was in, then, yeah, I would definitely, you know, seek out, I sought out diverse candidates, black folks, you know what I mean? And because I look around me and I'm the only person that kind of looks like me. You know what I mean? So yeah, I seek that out. So how do you go find it?
So how do y'all feel about organizations that have unwritten rules that they use in their interviewing practices?
I was just getting ready to.
You don't qualify for them. I'll give you an example.
I was just getting ready to.
IBM is a great example. They have an unwritten rule about wearing white shirts every day. Now at the time, and this is 10, 15 years ago that I learned this, that they have this unwritten rule about wearing white shirts, especially during interviews. And this gentleman walked in, he had on a blue shirt. He literally was knocked off the list because he came in looking the wrong way. He didn't do his research to find out what was the underlying, what was the dress code he needed to be when he went into the interview. And it tripped me out because I didn't know this. It was my first foray into actually seeing interviews happen and people making those kind of decisions. So not 15, maybe 20 years ago, regardless of what it is. It's just the fact that they had an unwritten rule that you have to have on a white shirt at all times when you're in that building.
But also, it's something that he could have found out if he had researched the company that was hiring him.
A simple question to somebody, especially the secretary that was setting up his interview, would have solved his entire problem.
That's a tough one because I feel like if it's some, I do feel like, and I ain't never been in those kind of hiring positions, but I do feel like there is a certain degree to where like the person who's coming to get that job should know enough about that job to like, you know.
I think wearing a blue shirt though, I think that's a little ridiculous to me.
It might be a little ridiculous, but
no. I mean,
but if you found that out,
as you shortchanging yourself as an organization, right? You possibly losing out on some great talent because a motherfucker wore a blue shirt and you want him in a white one. And being as a candidate, that's an organization I don't even want to be part of. Like, I don't even want to be part of that shit.
I mean, if you look at it this way, though, maybe they ain't the blue shirt, but it's just the aspect of did this person actually do some research about this employment opportunity? I'm just saying.
There's other ways to figure out that shit.
Couldn't it be looked at like that, though?
People do look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? That's the dumbest shit in the world.
You think
Shit. I'm not going to hire him.
I kind of fuck with it.
All this shit is great. You know, he passed or whatever, sometimes we have like little tests or whatever, little projects, people got to do to kind of, give a sample of their work and shit. And that shit looks great and they're qualified and what? Oh, we wear yellow shirts around here though. Oh, he got a green shirt on.
But if it's something
If it's
something that you could have found out by researching the company
so
you was
the
going
fuck
to.
what?
Then what about that
so
though?
The fuck what?
That means that you didn't do the research.
How does that affect the bottom line?
Because
you're going to get great talent, or you're going to drive great talent away and get somebody that's average because they got on a white fucking shirt.
What if that research is part of what I need you to do?
You're not hearing what I'm saying, though. Great talent, right? Talent. You know what I mean? So you're going to drive talent away.
What if research is the talent?
What?
What if research is the talent? What if attention to detail is the talent?
Dude, that's not like something you got to go get an MBA to be good at shit. You know what I mean?
Right, but it's as simple as asking a question to the secretary. Hey,
I feel you.
What
it's
should
simple.
I look like?
It's simple, but I think you got to look at it from an organizational standpoint. What do you want to do? What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? Who are you looking for, right? And if it's, we do this around here, then okay, that's how y'all do that. That's cool, whatever. But I think you really need to look at yourself as an organization. Mm-hmm. Are we shortchanging ourselves on losing out great talent because we too damn stubborn about how people look around here?
So using my example about the gentleman who went for the interview without a white shirt, if I'm the interviewer and I'm wondering whether or not he's got the personality savvy to actually get that information out of the secretary, and that makes him more qualified for whatever he has to do, shouldn't that be a part of what I want?
That's what the interview is for.
Happen?
That's what the interview is for. That's why you got to find that out then, right? I mean, and again, I'm not saying you're wrong. This is my opinion, right? Now that's just how I look at it. During that 60-minute block or 90-minute block or whatever that interview looks like, that's your chance to get all the information you need to make that hiring decision. And depending on the role, there may be other shit that you have to do outside, or maybe other interviews you have to go to or whatever. To me, it just doesn't make sense solely because what this person looks like or what they wear. Solely because of that reason, I'm not going to hire you. Yeah. I don't care if you did research or blah 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 whatever. I'm interviewing you. Can you do this job?
Right.
But since you didn't do research to put on a different color shirt, I'm not. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I figured that. I think it could be useful. I don't. But first of all, let's just address this whole thing. I fucking hate corporate America, hiring processes, the fucking ladder. I hate all that shit. Yeah. So really, what I'm saying ain't gonna really mean shit, because I hate all of the shit. The process, the interview process, all of that shit. It's disgusting, nigga. So like for me, I guess it's tough anyway. I'm just trying to figure out, I guess maybe for them, obviously I guess it makes sense. They've been doing it. But I also kind of do see like maybe if they looking for somebody who, like he said, maybe possess those skills to be investigative or something, or like.
And that's what you asked during your interview. Don't use some random shit outside
The pre-interview type
that.
shit.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely pre-interview type shit.
Or
That's something that only you would know if you did that shit before you came to
if
the
you
right.
already got your mind made up, then just cancel the interview. Don't even have it. Like, shit, 'cause you waste your time.
Hey, so let me ask you this, dog.
I just found it interesting that that's what that organization was doing.
Yeah, and you know, the organizations do shit like
and
that.
I was like,
which-
wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
Like being in that administrative position and shit, like both of y'all, I just want to ask this: if it was something that you could change about that administrative position or that interview process or whatever, like what would it be that you would change to make it like make more sense? I guess because obviously, like let's just look at the IBM example. You said that shit completely makes no sense.
To me, it doesn't make any
Right.
sense.
So
at all.
like. What could be different about the normal kind of process that you think would be make businesses more successful?
Now, before you answer that, IBM may have changed their policy since
Right.
then, but
Yeah, we talking about some old shit. Yeah,
it's most
this
of
shit
it.
could have been.
It's just the fact that I saw it happen,
Yeah.
and that tripped me out because
That
I'm
means
just
that-
about to get into the workforce.
That means there's a plenty other organizations
Right.
that do that same shit.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And
And
you
there
didn't
it is.
you didn't fail the interview before you even had the interview and shit, which is fucked up. So like, what would y'all think would be like some better? I guess what they call in corporate America best practices for interviews and shit.
I think to me, it just depends on that organization and like what their mission and what their goals are, right?
I think the main thing that you said without saying basically is to stop making interviews so judgmental off of appearances. I think that's one thing that you
Definitely.
basically saying without saying. So that's one thing.
I'm guilty of that. So
So he's on the opposite end of that shit.
We human. We all guilty
Yeah.
of that at some point. You know what I mean? That's that
Yeah.
unconscious bias thing. And you got to
Facts.
try to check it. You know.
Facts.
And what can you do differently? You know, ask behavioral based questions. You know,
Yeah.
ask for specific stories.
Right.
Like, I forget the actual like study. I had to look it up. But you know how sometimes you'll hear about those questions. You know, if you were an animal, what type of animal would you be? Like,
yeah, that's a stupid question.
yeah, what does that have to do with the job? What does that have to do with you being qualified for whatever?
That's a
I'd be-
legitimate-
scenario questions.
I'd be
Like,
a
I hate
tiger
those.
ready to eat you up. So
Yeah.
you know,
I don't get how that would help me
I'm trying
hire
to be a
you.
grizzly
Yeah.
bear.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just
Everything's
murder
subjective,
everything around
you know,
me.
Yeah.
and it's hard to make a fair, unbiased decision off subjective information. You know,
Oh, let me ask y'all that then, because it's a lot of questions like when they interviewing you and shit, like those scenario questions. Obviously, tell me a time when you wanted to complete a task and you had like adversity, all that little weak shit, right? We
no,
done
but
heard
see, I
that.
think that's a good question, right?
It's a good question.
Because
That's a
I'm
great
asking
question.
for a specific time you did
Right.
that shit.
For sure,
right?
it's
You know?
a good question. So I just want to know, like, what's a new question that you think should be like on there?
I don't think it should be a new question. Like, that's the type of questions I'm going to ask. Behavioral based questions, right? I'm going to ask you about a time you did this and this was available or maybe not available. And I want to hear a specific example of what you did, like what
So
you went through to solve that problem.
So I guess like what's the best question though? Like one maybe we haven't heard.
I don't think there's a best question.
it's not-
It
you don't think
depends
so?
on
The best interview questions for me have been scenario-based questions.
Well,
I
basically
put
what
you
we
in a
talking about.
situation, and you tell me how you solve it.
Yeah,
Those
right.
are the best
What
ones
he just
because
said.
I want
Yeah.
to know what you. I want to know what you're going to do to handle it. Because most of the job that I'm asking you to do is about adversity. You're going to have to make these hard
Basically
decisions
about problem solving.
before it gets to me. I want you
Yeah.
to handle this stuff before it even comes to me. So I want to see what your thought process is before you even say, "Oh, I'm gonna go talk to the administration." No,
Yeah.
I don't want to
feel
be
you.
involved in this question. You tell me what you're gonna do.
I feel
Those
you.
are the best questions.
See, and I think the only difference between me and Angry Principal there is, as he's, looking for like, what would you do? I mainly concentrate on what have you done, right? Because the way I look at it is this: if you're saying you're responsible for this project and you save this millions of dollars or whatever, now okay, I'm gonna dig into that.
Yeah, how
And
did
to
you
me,
do
really,
it?
the more details you can provide, I'm
The more I
thinking
believe
like,
it.
yeah, the more I believe
The more I believe it,
But if you're giving me
basically,
some vague shit and this, like,
Some shit you
how
made
involved
up.
were you
That's
really in
true.
that issue, that project?
But see,
I don't
that's
know.
the difference in our fields.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It depends on the organization.
I
Yeah.
deal more with reactionary stuff. You deal with pre-planning, and that's a
Damn, that's true.
huge.
Yeah.
Those are two totally
That's true.
different diametrics when you're dealing with this kind of
That's
stuff.
true as hell. Damn, I hadn't even looked at it like that. Like shit, Square. I want to throw you in here too. Now I know you already been extra quiet because that motherfucker filibustered and hit you in the head and shit. But just like as far as corporate America go, like I know me again. Like I've lost all faith in corporate America and shit. But I don't want to impose that on nobody else. But As far as like interviews,
Yeah, you do.
I kind of do.
Yeah, you do.
As far as interviews that you had before, any kind of dealings with like corporate America as it goes with hiring and shit. I'm just asking you from your standpoint, what you think could be better or different to help motherfuckers hire more effectively, black or white. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you think? Because I feel like some of the questions I understand because like Bo said, and just like you said too, putting yourself in certain scenarios to see how you would solve those issues. I get it, I understand, but some of the shit I don't think all the time make much sense. Obviously, it makes sense to the company that's hiring you because that's why they're doing it. But like Square, what you think? Like, what could be better though? Like, if you was applying for something or if you was hiring somebody, like what scenario would you think would be better for hiring better people? Because I've been dealt with a lot of companies where if they did this in the interview, I'm not understanding why the employees are so bad. Like, so what would be more effective? Like, you got an idea? Maybe, I don't know. I don't have one, honestly.
Maybe if they leveled the playing field, like just if it was. So, for instance, if you use the IBM example, for instance, you do your research. For instance, you got those people that are you got always people who are gonna look up and see what they're specific, like these questions that they ask when they're about to be hired for this situation.
Yeah.
But then you get people that don't. I use the example of common sense versus
Like book smart type shit. Okay, I got you.
So analytical person might not be as inclined to I don't know. We'll put it like this. Like the common sense person might not the person that's lacking common sense might not get that, but the analytical person might get that.
Mm-hmm.
And you might want to hire that analytical person, but because they didn't have the strategic or to look it up, because some people might look like I'm supposed to go into this interview just based off of my performance or based off what I'm thinking, where somebody's going in and they're basing it off somebody else's performance.
True.
That might be looked at as cheating. In some respects.
Because that's definitely what it would be. Your research is basically based on somebody else's experience. So yeah, I get you.
So it's kind of when you limit it like that, I think you kind of limit your base and once again that pool. So if everybody is going in on that same platform, that same level, you're gonna get a better example. And I do like the questions of what you've been through and specific examples. I like all
and how you handled it.
But just everybody on that same level.
Yeah.
Whereas you got people coming in, they know this, they don't know this, and
True. Okay.
Some people that might not be up on game.
Yeah. So like you asking somebody, for instance, like at one of these positions, you asking somebody like, have you ever been in this position as such and such, and how did you handle it? But you never had that actual experience, but you got other experiences that can kind of duplicate that, but not that actual experience. So like with that, I'm gonna ask y'all that shit then. Have it been some people that y'all interviewed and shit that you had those questions and they didn't exactly have the right answer, but you ended up hiring them anyway? And when I say right answer, I mean like the answer that fits the productivity that you was looking for.
I will say yes. I hired them one off of recommendations from the people that worked in my organization, and they vouched for them, and it has in 2 cases bit me in the ass completely to the point where I had to wind up getting rid of that person.
Damn. Okay.
And saying, no, you're not the right fit. And I went to that other person, the person that recommended him, and said, hey, you
don't come with nothing else.
Recommending people to me because this one turned out really bad. And I hate to say it, but it made me gun shy. Because one thing I pride myself is on being able to hire the right person for the job.
Exactly.
And when you make me gun shy because you wind up being such a horrible person when it comes to the job, that's an issue because it makes my life harder. It makes everything about my job 10 times harder. And I'm already, just the color that I am, I got to work 10 times harder to just get what I'm getting. Exactly. And then you come in, I hire you, and you come in and you screwing up. You messing things up not only for me but also the next person that may have been qualified for the job. So yeah, it's been a lot of times.
And that's unfortunate.
I was gunshot for a second. I'm over that now.
You over now? Okay.
But that one person was so bad that I was sending definitely you examples of how stupid this person was. And that's the only way I can put it. This person is a stupid person.
So you can't even call it nothing else.
I can't call it anything else. Now, the fun part is I switched jobs to another position, another district, and I saw this person that I had fired at another in the same organization, and she sees me walking by and gave me if looks could kill, I would have been dead right there. But she was that bad, and that kind of stuff. You try to use other criteria, you try to help people out, but when they come in and they screw up, can't help you.
Screw up.
You got to be on top of your game at all times because this is all about performance based.
Yeah, I mean it is.
If your performance is not up to par,
performance and production, for sure.
And I can't go in there just looking bad. I'm already behind the 8 ball as it is.
As it is,
so
right?
You coming up, screwing up.
No, I dig that.
You can't have that. And deuces to you.
I dig that. Bo, what you say, bro? You ever been in that position where like nigga didn't really answer that, like that experience question the way you wanted them to, but like you went ahead and did it anyway? Like how did that shit turn out if you did?
I mean, I think all hiring managers at some point made bad hires. You know what I mean? Like I've made a bad hire before, yeah. You know, just try to chalk it up as a learning experience. You know, and you know, before I even look at any type of feedback for the person I might have hired, you know, I guess I got to look at myself first, right? So. You know, did I ask the right questions? You know, did I get the right information, right? You know, all those type of things. You know, if I think I did that correctly, then okay. You know, maybe this person has a gap or some training or whatever they need to try to get up to speed.
Yeah, we can get.
And then as a leader, I think that's my first responsibility is try to get them right.
Right.
You know, and then if I can't get them right, then we
you
gotta
do what you gotta do.
Documenting stuff, right? Yeah. So I don't know. You know, I've made a bad hire. You know, sometimes, you know. I hear an answer like I'm not quite what I was looking for. You know, I might rephrase the question. You know,
to make it fit though.
Yeah, sometimes I've actually said, "Give me a specific example, something you've done in the past, not anything general." And people will still give me a vague answer, right?
I ain't shitting on niggas' interview skills and shit, but a lot of niggas' interview skills is trash. So, and I say all that to say that. By now, if you've been applying for jobs, if you don't know they go ask you the experience question, then like I don't know if you want a job for it. They are definitely gonna ask you about a time whatever you been hired for. You know what I'm saying? They go give you some examples of some situations that you may have to deal with there. Like if you don't know that going in, like you don't want no fucking job anyway, bro. Like let's be honest.
And don't lie on your resume. Put all these, seriously, put all these different numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
Because when I see metrics and stuff on resume, I zero in on that because I'm a numbers guy first anyway, right?
Okay.
So if I see something that's like, oh damn, how did you do this? You know what I mean? I'm gonna zero in on that shit. Like I'm gonna ask you everything about
how did you do that shit?
And then like I said, if you can give me some decent, feedback, decent answers and whatnot, then okay, I might believe you.
Yeah.
But if you vague about it, I saved the company $5 million.
How did you do that shit? Right, exactly. And see, that's why, and it's a little bit easier for me, like because like my whole resume is customer service shit. So like it's easier for me because I remember these motherfucking interactions. So like it's easy. Like when you ask me for experience, like nigga, I done had so many experiences. Like I could pull from those, and I be ready and shit. Like a lot of people, like when you applying for shit. And you didn't put some shit on your resume, you do have to be, and I think this is different from what it was before. You do have to be held accountable for the shit you put on your resume. Back in the day, maybe not so much, because I don't think niggas was doing like research like they do now. But like now, when you put shit on your resume, you got to be able to speak to that shit. If like you said, if you say you saved the motherfucking $5 million, you better have a fucking story about how you saved this multi-million-dollar contract. You better have a story.
Or you won't get the job, baby.
Right?
Yeah, you ain't go somewhere else. But.
So I ain't saying. All right, so look, I ain't saying don't lie on your resume. I'm saying
don't lie on your resume.
I'm saying
that will eventually come back and bite you in the ass.
I'm saying have your other lie prepared as well.
There's a way to craft things on your resume, to make certain things stand out and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm gonna sniff out a lie on your. I am.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sniff out a lie. And if you're gonna lie on your resume, like I don't want nothing to do with you anyway. White, black, green, and brown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask y'all this too, though. How much do y'all think? A two-part question. How much do y'all think the interview process has changed since like when we was back in the day applying for jobs and shit, and like how it is now? How much of it has changed, and do you think that change was effective? And shit. Like I started Angry Prince. What you think, dog? Like back in the day when we was applying for jobs, shit, the interview process was completely different. These questions was different. They wasn't asking all this psychological experience type shit. So like the shit has progressed. So since it's changed. I just want to know, do you think that change has been effective and shit?
From when I started with those general
The general kind of
questions that I had to now where I'm more scenario based, it's definitely changed. It's helped me out with the hiring, except for that one case. It's helped me out with hiring people because I need to know the way you think.
Yeah.
And if your way of thinking is going to make my life harder. If your way of thinking is going to make my life rougher, then I can't deal with you.
Right.
But if you kind of have a process or at least a plan in place for what you want to do to handle adverse situations, which my entire job is nothing but adverse situations.
Right, factual.
If I know how you're thinking and that's not going to make me look bad, then yeah, you may be the person for my organization.
Yeah.
So far in the last 15 years, it's only bit me twice.
Yeah. Well, shit,
I've
that's
only
good.
messed up twice.
That's good.
And like I said, I am an interview snob. I know I am. I know that's a fault of mine. I know that when you walk in, if you're not on top of your game,
changing it.
I'm not changing it because it's worked for me so far and it's kept me working. So I'm straight. But
for sure.
at the same time, you got to be on top of your game. And the scenario based questions I ask now, which are 100% different than what I was doing at the beginning, have helped me be able to pick the right candidates for the job.
What'd you say, Bo?
I mean, yeah, I think things are different, especially, I mean, just socially, what's going on socially in this country. I think things have to be different. As far as, like, what the questions look like and, like, I think the biggest difference is this, right? So, 20 years ago, really 10 years ago, so diversity, inclusion thing wasn't really a big deal in corporate America.
Yeah.
And for some organizations, it's still not. They put the window dressing out there to make it look like
right.
it is,
It still really
not,
ain't. Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And so me specifically, and some few other people that I know that I work with or whatnot, we ask those questions like, how do you promote diversity? How do you allow people that report to you to be themselves at work, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to know that type of shit. Which is 20 years ago people weren't asking that shit.
Hell no, they wasn't asking because it's crazy because they wasn't asking it, but it was still important.
Yeah,
I guess we just didn't realize it was important at that point.
People knew. It's just like that old buddy network, shit like that. So which goes back to my original point. White folks were in charge, primarily middle-aged and old white men, right? Bringing in their buddies and their buddies' nephews and shit like that, right?
For sure.
So I mean, white folks we should look out for ourselves too.
Yeah, for sure.
Simple as that.
Like,
At least, at the very least, or like Angry Principal said, at the very least, open the door for you, right? What you do after that, it's kind of up to you, But I want to put the opportunity out there
for sure,
at the
up
very
to you.
least.
For sure up to you at that point, yeah. And it's the thing too, though. I guess I want to ask this. You need to, because in my head, I feel like it's hella important to have black people know it's hiring positions and shit, right? I think it's important. But then also at the same time, though, I don't want to put emphasis on the importance of those people being there and take away the emphasis from the people who are trying to get to those positions to be prepared. Because I think oftentimes we put all the pressure on people to get there, and once they get there, to be able to help others. But you got to remind the others to be fucking prepared to be in those positions.
You got to be on top of the game.
And that part don't always be expressed though. You always like, I'm true to that to a fault. Like I'm always like, yeah, you in this position, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. But like at the same time, I need to be telling these other motherfuckers who trying to get there, like, nigga, you need to be prepared. Like, because if I'm there giving you the helping hand, if you're not prepared, what fucking difference do it make?
And that's 100% correct, man.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in a situation where, I had friends or whatever, hook me up, blah, 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 do this,
But they not prepared.
And, that's the thing. Like, you go to them and I'm like, hey, look, you need to have this, and this done. And I'm like, well, can you help me out? Can you do this? I gave you the opportunity.
Right.
Like,
right.
I've already helped you out.
So I did my help. Yeah, I did my help.
Now you got to do some shit on your own, motherfucker, right?
Because it's two motherfuckers, dog. You know what I'm saying? We live and shit. I love y'all. Y'all my fans, so we gonna be candid with this shit. It's two motherfuckers, you and corporate Cody and shit, who sometimes I look to for corporate resources when I'm trying to get hired into some places. And I know that when I talk to y'all motherfuckers, like, I better be prepared. I better be more prepared than the next motherfucker when I come to y'all about a motherfucking job. Because y'all hold me even more accountable because y'all know me and shit. So they like, nigga, don't even come if you ain't got this, you ain't got this, you ain't got that. And I think that conversation is important for the regular motherfuckers. Somebody need to tell these motherfuckers like, nigga, don't even come to me if you ain't got this, that, and the third.
The simplest way to look at it is this: business is business.
It's exactly what it is.
You got to be on top of your game because this is not personal. I may love you as a person. You may be my best friend in the world.
Facts.
But if you don't make me look good in the job that I'm in,
Facts.
Need no problem.
We got a real
Right.
problem.
Facts.
It's business.
For real.
Business
No, it's
is
completely business.
I don't
Yeah.
care if you're dealing with getting a job, dealing with somebody with renting a house or whatever. Business is business. The love is out of it.
That's real shit.
It's all about that end game of whether or not you're going to get that check.
That's real shit.
And if you can continue to live the way you want to live.
Yeah.
Business is business.
It is, and that's why I say I just want to make sure that emphasis is put on both. Like I do put an emphasis on somebody being in that position and being able to take advantage of that position and pull people up, but those people need to be held accountable for themselves too. I don't ever want that to be lost, because I know when I say it, sometimes it sound like, well, you in a position, you should do this. I'm not saying that person still needs to be in position to be even desirable. Like, obviously, I don't want you to just get any nigga a job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not just gonna hire anybody because they black.
Exactly.
Oh, they black, yeah, you got this shit.
No, I said that shit earlier, but I do got some standards though. I'm not just gonna put an asshole in a position that I know they can't do it, because like you said, at the end of the day, it's gonna affect your job.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said earlier, shit, like, you might as well do the shit yourself.
Yeah.
You gonna get a motherfucker who can't do it and
Yeah,
shit.
might as
So.
well just do shit myself.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. That shit was this shit an interesting conversation. I almost want to, and there's no way to segue to it and shit, but I kind of want to have a little bit of the good conversation and shit while we on live and shit. Is there any way we can get to that?
We can just jump
into it, dog.
All right, so I asked the question earlier because I recently received a firearm, and I was asking Bo about some advice on what to do with it.
Yep.
I am a novice, and when I say novice, the same way Q was a novice when he say towards bourbon,
For
I'm
sure.
a novice towards guns. So I'm
Facts.
going to the expert. I'm going to Bo, asking what should I do about this particular firearm that I just received.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I need to get it fixed. I want it working and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I also asked the question: when I go to work, I shouldn't be worried about my life.
Right.
And what can we do to kind of figure that out? It's not, and Bo said it's a right to have a gun. Okay, that's cool. You can have a gun, but I'm asking, should we increase the price on the bullets, like Chris Rock said? Make the bullets so you actually have to make a decision when it comes to firing off that bullet, because it's a mortgage payment if it comes down to it.
Yeah.
And so I asked the question because I don't want to go to work and think that I have to worry about my life all the time.
Right.
Just for your right to have a gun, and people are shooting up all the time.
Yeah.
So that's where the conversation started.
It went everywhere.
I don't want, like I said, I love life. I'm enjoying my life. I have worked hard for the life that I have. I don't want to lose it because you're right to have an AR-15 and bring it in an open carry state and bring it up to my school, and all of a sudden get mad at me because I told you the wrong thing, and all of a sudden I'm dead or a human shield. Worried about protecting all the kids that are around me. So I have an issue with it, and I was asking for a solution. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So I don't have a solution, right? You know, here's my thing. Like, yeah, it is a right, you know, and right's a right, you know, no matter what. The other thing is this, man, like, should there be tougher screening? Yes, I think so, right? Because within that screening, you know, you can verify things like training and whatnot. So you talk about, you know, making a bullet cost $120 or whatever. So, you know, if you fire off a round, you know, you got to really think about that.
You got to really think about it. Shit.
But if you're being trained properly, you got to think about that. I don't care if that round costs 50 cents, right? Because you got to really think, when I pull this trigger, you know, that's finite. You know, I can't hit the reset button. You know, it's done. Right?
Ain't no takebacks.
Yeah. So before you pull that trigger, a properly trained person is thinking about the surroundings, right? What's behind that person? Will this round go through that wall? Stuff like that.
Or
you know
if
what
I miss, who gonna get hit?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
So yes, screening and training and things like that should be tougher, right? Because it's not, you know, it's not really a requirement a lot to go buy a gun. Yes, training is a requirement to get, like, you know, a CPL and things like that. But it honestly is very basic in a lot of states. Very, very, very basic. Because some states are shall issue states, right? So as long as you abide by the rights and stuff like that, and you got no fuck up shit, you can
get a gun.
carry whatever the fuck you want to.
Exactly, right.
And then some states are may issue, right? So, like, yeah, this is your right, but you got to go through this, and that
Yeah.
to be qualified to carry this gun outside of your home or whatever the fuck, right? And then some states like Illinois and Maryland or whatever, it's damn near impossible to get a CPL. You know,
New York and shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
And then getting back to like policy and legislation. I mean, honestly, as a gun owner, I mean. That's up to your politician, you know. Because I'm gonna be 100 with you. I'm not when I go buy a rifle or a pistol or whatever.
thinking about that shit.
I'm not thinking about school shooting.
I feel you.
I'm not gonna say I don't care, and I'm not sad by it when it happens. But like
That's not.
this
that's not
is
what you're
my
thinking.
interaction right here. I'm not gonna go do this, do that, do this, right? And if I'm not using a particular weapon at that time, you know where it's at, locked away in my fucking safe.
Yeah.
You know. So is everybody like that? No. You know what I mean? So like this
Obviously.
shit slipping. Obviously,
Right,
yeah.
obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were talking about my reality is I actually have to have school shooting drills inside of a building with kindergartners crying.
And I feel for
because
But
they work because I'm trying to make it as realistic as
you
possible.
yeah.
So I know I saw an IG clip of how principals try to make the school shooting drills realistic, and they banging on the doors, and that was me, you know. But at the same time, I'm banging on these doors. I got these kindergarten and first graders. They literally are crying. I mean, bawling out to the point where I get parents the next day coming up and yelling at me. I'm like, ma'am, I have to do this. I have no choice but to do this stuff. But at the same time, I shouldn't have to do this. I can't. I went to school to become an educator. I didn't go to school to become a human shield.
Yeah.
And so I have a real issue with the fact that your right may cost me my life, and that to me doesn't sit right.
And then I have an issue with my right, you know what I mean, being infringed upon on some shit I didn't do. And don't sit right with me either. You know what I'm saying?
Right, I
you
ain't
got
do
a
it.
rock, you got a hard place. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I think
That nigga, I didn't do it, so
Yeah,
shit.
exactly.
Give my gun, nigga.
but that's what I'm just saying. That's going to be the majority of your gun owners, right? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't do that shit. That's on them. You know, you go hold that motherfucker accountable.
And like
right? I
I
understand where you coming from too. Like, yeah, you being a teacher or whatever, you know, in the educational field, you shouldn't have to worry about shit like that. No, you shouldn't. You know,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we got some fucked up people in this world, and like that doesn't excuse it again. But you know,
it's your shit.
Yeah,
So I'm
Be
asking
my
the
shit.
question. How can we make it so that it becomes an issue where
I don't know.
it does not affect me and my ability to go to job and worry about dying because somebody had a bad day and decided to fire off a couple in the building.
I don't know
Newtown, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Those first graders, they went to school to be a first grader. They didn't go to school to get shot up. And you literally have somebody who walked in with a legally purchased firearm taken from their parent and walked into the building and killed a bunch of kids and adults. That doesn't make sense to me because all they went to school was to help children learn how to read and how to write and how to do math. And now they're dead because of somebody's right.
They're not dead because somebody's right. They're dead because of somebody did some dumb shit. You know what I mean? And somebody was negligent by leaving their shit out.
All right,
you know
so
what I
let
mean?
me ask you this.
It's not because of my right to carry a gun that these kids died. No,
Let me ask you this.
I think that's mutually exclusive.
In your right to be a gun owner, carrier, holder, all that stuff, where is the happy medium where that person or that availability to a firearm shouldn't affect what I'm doing in my everyday? I'm worried about that one person that does have I know this is going to sound bad. That one person that does have a screw loose and they come in and decide to threaten my life and I become a human shit. Because I already know if somebody comes to the building, I'm probably the first person dead.
So that go back to what I said before. That's what I said before. That's a social thing. That's not a commodity thing. So like you changing the price on guns or ammo is not a solution. I don't know what the solution is. It's gonna be something social though.
I think the solution got to be realistic too, and like rounds going for 100. Like that's not gonna happen. Like I just know that's not gonna happen.
I'm just saying, if you got to pay 120 for a box, you were saying that a 9mm box may cost what, $12?
A box of 25, 12.
$12.
For cheap ammo, $12.
So what if they cost 120? And all of a sudden, you got to actually make a decision about firing off that gun.
You're right.
And what did I say before?
Because people that buy ammo and shit like that, they gonna put up a motherfucking bitch fit. And so
I don't care about their bitch fit.
But
man.
this is what I'm
worried
saying.
about me going
you
home
know how
that
America works, right? So they put up this bitch fit, blah blah blah, and these ammo companies, these firearm companies.
Let them whine.
They're
Let
not
them
making
cry.
money, and we
Let
know
them
how
whine.
this country
Look,
runs.
I'm not stopping your right to the
money.
gun. I'm not stopping your availability. I'm just changing the way the price
But
structure
you
is.
saying that's not
I'm not
realistic,
gonna worry
though.
about what.
But you-
I'm just saying it's not realistic
because
because it's not gonna happen.
But
I
you
wanna go home
are.
tonight.
But you are affecting my availability, dog. When you change the price point, you are affecting my availability.
Okay,
Again,
because you got to make a decision on
But
whether
you're
or
not.
not you're gonna
But
find that
he's
wrong.
not though.
I have to make it. I'm just saying.
But he's not because
He is.
But
If he
because
changes
it's not
the
gonna
price-
happen, because it's not gonna happen.
But if it do happen, I'm just saying.
You got cowards in the
And what if
positions of
cats fell
power.
from the sky and shit? You know what I mean?
But if it does happen, then it is affecting my availability. So that's my issue.
I haven't
You
touched your
can't-
availability.
Yes, you
all
did.
All,
If you-
all I've done is giving you a
Economics
change
is
the way-
availability,
change the
principle.
way you make a decision. You got to make a decision on your part. That's fine. That's your issue.
You making an economic decision.
Your right to have
It's
a
an
gun-
economic decision.
The economic decision
It
is
is
not
an
worth my
economic
life. My life is more precious than your economic
Mine
decision.
too.
I don't care about
If
your
I-
money.
if I live in it-
you gotta
if
pay
I
that
live
$120,
somewhere-
it's more important for me to go home alive. My life is more precious than
But-
$120.
But what if I need protection more than you need it, and I can't afford it? Then it is affecting my availability, dog. Is you not?
But what if your right to
saying,
have this is affecting my life?
and-
That is
but-
my. I want to go home
Bro,
every day safe.
Realistically,
Me too.
I want to
Me
be straight.
too.
Hold up. Realistically,
That's
even
a
a finer
serious
point,
issue for me.
like me
too.
as John Smith gun owner, and I'm not talking about me specifically, but in general.
Yeah.
Me as John Smith gun owner, my right is to go buy a rifle. I'm gonna go buy a rifle. I don't. Honestly, John Smith gun owner, I don't give a fuck about what these teachers are going through in the school, and that's the reality of it. They don't.
But if you
They don't
can't,
care.
if you can't
When
afford
it-
$120 rounds, then you gonna be mad.
I mean,
They put you in a position where you
mean,
can't.
yeah,
it's taking away your availability.
Yeah,
Be mad,
obviously,
but the
but
threat
like
to
this-
me is
yeah,
less. The threat to me is much
But the
less.
threat to me is more.
I don't have
Because I
anything
can't
to-
get ammo for my fucking guns.
I'm not worried about that. I mean, like that's just never gonna happen.
But-
so I'm not even worried about
but
that.
if-
I ain't
if I-
worried about it. I'm worried about my life.
But if I
I'm
have to
worried
worry
my
about
teacher's
ammo,
life.
I'm worried about my
kids'
life.
I got.
I'm worried about my
700
kids' life.
I have 700 lives to worry about. You worried about your $120? Come on now.
I'm worried about my family. What my family?
I'm worried about 700
And-
people.
Yo,
You
and at
worried
the end
about-
of the day,
you
yo,
worried about your
Gun owner don't care
$120.
one shit about them kids.
Hey,
Like,
Square,
every gun owner do not-
Square got something. He been waiting to say
Hey,
something.
put this in perspective though for everybody. Though,
Okay.
because I'm heavy in the education field, but I'm also a gun owner. So peep this. I feel everything that you're saying, and I have children in school. But schools are not the only place where these dudes be going in, running up, shooting, right?
Mhm.
So everybody's dealing with that. We got training in corporate areas where everybody's dealing
Right.
with active shooters. So it's not just schools. That's just the worst place because the cowards pick places where it's no gun, it's gun-free zones typically, right? So the whole thing is where I'd say, at least like let us have them, is because even if typically the person that's shooting those guns it's not registered, it's not legal, like in most situations. So the laws that you can enforce in that situation won't stop it.
Won't stop it from happening.
It's just gonna make it more exclusive, like just
But it's gonna make it hard for other people.
for us.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's
And that's
gonna
my
affect us
thing.
specifically because we like money. It's gonna come down to money,
Exactly.
just like it does now with bullets.
Exactly.
They
So-
line up the bullets now, and it's gonna affect us even heavier.
I
than
hear
it's
what you're
affecting
saying.
us now.
I hear
Exactly.
what you're saying. But are the cost of the bullets, or however let's say we go with the bullets being more expensive, is the cost of that bullet worth my life?
That's what I'm trying to express to you.
I
though.
don't.
That's what- the average gun owner don't
No.
care. That's what I'm saying.
And that's fine.
Is it worth
and that's
mine?
fine for that person that they don't care. I do, because I want
I know
to
you
live.
do.
I enjoy the life
Me
that
too.
I have. I don't want to die being a human shield for your child.
Me
I understand.
neither.
I just don't. And so I'm asking for ways to
No.
make this more difficult for these people to come out here and start shooting up people. Arkansas just had 3 kids die because of a school shooting. I don't know all the specifics of the case.
So
whether
you
or not
think
the
higher
gun-
priced bullets would
I
have
don't-
stopped that from happening?
I'm just saying it's a deterrent to having.
Is it?
It's got to be a deterrent, because if you got to think about it, when you sitting here just trying to buy something, let's say you're trying to buy a pair of J's, you got to actually make that decision on whether or not the J's are more important than your mortgage, your rent, your food, or what, blah blah blah. You got to actually make that decision. If bullets were the same way, and we don't have that threat coming into the building, hell, to me, it's worth it.
But we
I
talking
say
about-
jack the price up and make it difficult
So-
for people to actually want to fire off a round.
So what if I'm with that and I paid a higher price for my shit and my kids steal my shit? They still go steal my shit and your school still go get shot.
But
Like, it's not gonna stop it.
But at least I put some kind of barrier in place where I don't have to worry about stuff as hard as I have to worry about it right now.
You didn't took away from somebody else to get the same result.
That might affect the future though.
It's gonna affect something.
So like, you done made the higher price shit. I can't afford that motherfucker, and your school's still getting shot up. Who win in that situation? You took from me, and your school's still getting shot.
I'm not saying it's a all in. I'm not saying
where do it help though?
End all be all.
Where do it help?
One solution, but it takes a little bit of the worry off of me because when I go to work every day, I don't want to die. Flat out. I do not want to die. I literally have to have.
See, you trying to tug at my emotions now.
I have to have procedures in place where I work, so that from the secretary to me to everybody in the building knows what they're supposed to do, just in case some idiot comes in there and decides to fire off something.
When I was working in the corporate sector, me too. We had
all of us here. You know, we care about that. Like, you know, we care about each other and shit like that. So we want to keep each other safe, right? The thing though, like outside of that, you know, it's a school shooting happening. People see it on CNN. Damn, that's sad. Okay, what's on tonight, honey? Like, that's what it is. That's what it is.
I get that.
I mean, it's just as scary as like the school situation is just as scary as corporate America situation. If I'm in my cubicle and this nigga mad because he got fired, like I'm just as scared. But I don't want to lose my access. And yes, when you raise the price, I am losing my access. I am, nigga. I am losing my access.
And that's fine with me because I get to go to work safe and come home safe.
I feel that same fear when I work in the corporate sector because it can get shot up just as easily as a school.
The majority of your mass shootings are happening at schools and not necessarily corporate America. Yeah, you have your post office issues. Yeah, you have your workplace
office
issues.
Places. Yeah.
They are not as frequent as you have your school shootings. And so I'm looking for any barrier that we can put in place that's going to help me and everybody that I work for and the 700 souls that I'm responsible for. Safe.
People doing that because they socially fucked up, not because they got access to bullets. Like shit, they socially fucked up. Something else is fucked up.
I gotta put some.
They'll be in that bitch throwing hatchets if they had it.
And you talked about elected officials. Yeah, they got to stop being such cowards and actually come up with something that's reasonable that's going to satisfy everything on every level. But at the same time, right now, until that happens, I gotta go. I gotta go through school shooting drills with kindergarten with 5-year-olds so they can understand this may happen to you. You may lose your life.
$1,500 plate dinners and shit. Yeah, them checks too big.
Cowards, man. Just straight cowards.
Yeah, you're right. You did that
straight cowards.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with you on that.
Best example, after the Newtown shooting in Connecticut, you had all those first graders die. You had an opportunity right then and there for every single Republican or whoever is in lockstep with the NRA to actually say, no, we actually need to do something about this. Now, I'm not sure what the solution is, but at least they could have tried. Yeah. They didn't even try. They such cowards, such pussies that they couldn't even come up with a solution to fix a problem that is right in front of everybody. That I'm not saying I have a solution, but at least you all could have tried. You didn't even try. You such cowards. You such little bitches that you didn't even come up and say, all right, this is what we need to do in this kind of situation. That to me doesn't make sense to me. Not because one organization that's a voluntary organization is giving you a little bit of money and all of a sudden you cower down and you say, I can't touch this because the NRA said I shouldn't touch this. Man, fuck the NRA.
And we for sure talking about this Monday morning, for sure. Because I'm interested in what people got to say about this.
And I'm cool with people having guns. I don't care about you having a gun. Hell, I now have a gun. I've never had a gun in my life. I now have one. But the fact is, I should really have to make a decision of whether or not I want to fire off this round and make sure that if I'm protecting my house, okay, fine. You do what you got to do to protect your house.
But I can't afford it.
That $120 that you spent on a box of rounds to protect my house, that was worth it.
But I need $120 to feed my 3 kids.
That 50-cent round was not worth all the lives that lost it at school.
But that $120 could have been used for food if I'm struggling. And I'm in a struggling space where I need these bullets more than you need them bitches at school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need these bullets. Maybe.
Really? 700 over what?
You know what?
I'm serious.
700 over
700 souls I'm responsible
Angry
for.
principal. Let me say this.
More responsible.
700
is a 3 or 4.
700 over my 3 or 4 souls.
I get that.
Yeah, these are my 3 or 4 songs.
I get that, but
these ain't the 700 that's in Connecticut. These are my 3 or 4.
You took your 120 and you spent it on your family. Cool. I just don't want to lose my life for trying to teach your child how to read.
I'm super not going to agree with you on this one.
All right, we don't have to agree.
Super,
I'm just saying,
if this was the ceiling of agree,
your child's
if
ability
this was
to read.
disagreement, nigga, I'm right here. I'm upstairs.
Your child's ability to read should not cost my life.
Y'all's either.
Should not cost my life.
Y'all's
at all.
Y'all's
My
either.
life should not be threatened at all times because of your children's ability to read.
And this is why politics
right.
work, because nobody's ever gonna be on the same
sorry,
page.
right
This
now,
is why politics
the people
work.
that are locked in step with the NRA, y'all pussies.
I need my shit, and you can't make me pay $200 for a box of
I don't want to
motherfucking
take your
bullets.
shit. I just want to make it harder for you to actually fight out that round.
Nigga, that's the same thing.
I don't want to take it. I'm not taking you. You have
That's
the ability
the same
to do it.
thing.
You make it the same way you make a decision on your rent. You should have to make a decision about fighting out.
Yeah, if somebody get evicted or stop these gang niggas from shooting up my son and shit. Yeah, that's a tough one, my nigga.
Let it be a tough one, but it needs to be tough because I don't want to die. I don't want to die because I didn't go to school to become a fucking human shield. That's not what I went to school for.
Man,
I didn't dedicate my life to this damn career to be a human shield. No, I did not. We got to figure out a way to make this harder for people to come in and start shooting up shit.
That part I agree.
Congressman, yeah.
That part I agree.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
that just gotta happen. But,
I'm just not sure how that happens. I don't have a solution for that. I do feel like this ain't it. Like gun or ammo regulations, it ain't it. I don't think that's it.
And that's one thing I want to say too. Some people say to me, when I had this conversation with them, why do you need that gun? Why do you have so many? I don't need shit. I have it because I enjoy it and I can do the shit.
Yeah.
I don't have to justify that, right? Like when you have a right, you don't have to justify your right. It's your right.
a right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got it because I fucking got it. Simple as that.
Fine, it's your right, but we don't necessarily have to make it really easy.
No, I'm not saying it should be
It
easy,
had
and
to
I've
be
said that
easy.
multiple times.
Take away the
I've
access.
said that multiple times that it shouldn't just be you shouldn't be able just to walk in and store and boom, 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 and walk right out. You know what I mean? Like, no, you shouldn't be able to do that.
But you do see the economic divide though that causes. Like there's an economic divide between Black America and regular America.
That's capitalism at its best.
That
You
don't
gotta make a
mean.
decision. I just want to make it harder for me. I want to
But
make it
capitalism
easier for me to go to
is
work
fucked
and not worry about getting shot up.
And I want to be able to sit on my front porch without worrying about being shot up.
So you make a decision.
And I
You
just
make
want a
that
fucking
decision
gun.
to protect your house. Hey, do what you
Hey,
got
my
to do on that.
man said he just wants that bitch.
I'm just
He
saying.
did. He said he ain't talking about what I'm talking
I
about.
don't need it for a fucking.
That nigga
I don't
just
need it
said-
for a reason. I don't need it
My
for a
nigga
reason.
just said he want this shit because he can't.
Because I want it. And if
The
that's
be-
your reason, that's your reason.
The best
I
part
want my
about
shit
all-
because I want to keep Ray out my
Look,
shit.
the best part about all this COVID stuff is parents got the chance to really be with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't done that in a lot of cases in a while. They haven't been with their children in a minute. So a lot of them are coming in. I'm seeing them come in and they are more invested than they ever have been.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that. But when you come in invested, you also want your child to come home safe.
Yeah.
And right now, the prime spot for shooting up multiple murders
School.
with gun violence is a school.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to come up with a solution. I'm not sure what that solution is, but I'm just saying, hell, Chris Rock was on something when he said make the bullets worth a whole lot of money.
And we gonna get out of here because we just spent a lot of time on this shit. We've been on for
I
about
want
an
to go home
hour.
safe.
We've been on this for about an hour. I want to ask this though. Like, do you like? You mentioned that. Obviously, Chris Rock mentioned it first and shit. But do you really think though? Because I don't believe so. If you made that access, or I quit using the word access because you're not accepting that well. So I'll just say, if you did increase the rate on ammo and shit, do you really think that would slow the school shootings?
Hell yes. I'll give you an example. Right now, we got a situation where we're handing out computers to kids.
Okay.
But in some cases, these loaners, you got to sign an affidavit saying you're going to pay $600 and X, Y, Z.
If you don't return it or if it's fucked up.
the thing is damaged.
Okay.
These parents are making decisions like, no, I'm not doing that. If you got to make a decision about a bullet and that person coming into a building to make it, they got to make a decision on whether or not this is worth they financial stake or whatever. I'm looking for anything right now to make it harder.
I'm just gonna feel like you can't make that comparison on
Maybe
a
not, but
computer
it's a start. Maybe not, but
can't
it's a
make
start.
that comparison.
It is definitely a start.
I ain't Square. What you think, dog? Because obviously we know what both things. So.
I feel right. I feel where you coming from, ain't principle. But But I just know, I know gun owners, and I know niggas that make bullets.
Right.
So specifically,
It ain't gonna happen.
They go supply and demand. Like that price will go up, and I think it will in the future once again. But I know people that's sitting on stockpiles of bullets right now.
Yeah.
They can start selling them.
So they still got
I
them.
hear you.
Oh, I just start doing reloads and make my own fucking bullets.
I'm looking on the
In
slow.
the past,
Like you
they
just said, the
sitting on-
slowdown. That's the
Right.
main thing I'm worried about right now. Because right now the access is too easy.
Right.
Yeah.
I most definitely agree.
Too easy.
People been sitting on they stack.
Right. So like you said, they just gonna start selling them bitches on Shopify.
I'm just saying, my life is
On
worth
eBay and shit.
more. My life is worth more than that 50-cent box of bullets that you buy.
Damn right it is.
Yeah, I got 2 clips and a box of bullets sitting at the
Magazine.
bar right now.
Magazine.
I'm sorry, magazines, 2 magazines, and a box of bullets sitting under the bar right now. So I understand, but I also want to be able to get them bitches at an affordable rate. like I don't want.
think it should
I
be
want the
banned.
access taken away from me.
I'm not gonna say
It shouldn't be
right?
affordable.
Prices is up right now.
Oh, I mean,
bullets now.
I mean, they ain't
prices
120,
up,
but-
it's
It's crazy.
scarce to even find some ammo, right?
True. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not gonna say how many rounds I have, but like I've got a few.
You got a couple.
damn
You got a
artillery.
couple.
You got damn artillery.
You got a couple and shit.
I
Yeah.
got a few, you know.
So I'm gonna ask this and then we go get up out of here, dog, for real, cause like it's time to just get regular drunk and then probably go to Easy Street, 16101 East 10 Mile Road. I'll pull up at Easy Street, my nigga Monk Money,
Chicken sandwich.
slanging chickens out the kitchen and shit. But so if you watching right now, we go be there in a minute. So come fuck with us.
Shit, doorstep.
For sure, chef to your doorstep, nigga, for sure. So real quick, I'm gonna go around one time and I'm gonna ask y'all this, dog, and this is the question. Obviously, I know we looking out for the safety of like the school system and even in our aspect, like corporate America, like there's some corporate offices that have been shot up and things like that. So, just thinking though, putting both of those things into perspective, do you think that it will make the schools safer? But can you kind of agree that it will at some point too put the black community into a somewhat of a deficit, because there are many of us who wouldn't be able to afford that access to protect themselves? I know it'll be a trade-off. You think to lower the number of school shootings, but like wouldn't that also put our community into kind of a deficit, not being able to afford the items that could protect us though? I'll start with you, Aggie Principal, because I know you're the most dead set against it. So I'm gonna ask you.
All right, so you're just that one simple solution of using increasing the price of bullets.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if you don't have necessarily access to the bullets that you want to use in your gun,
Mm-hmm.
that means you're gonna come up with another way to protect your home, right?
Okay, so you're saying just find another way to do it.
You're gonna find something. You're gonna find something to protect your house. Now, personally, until 3 days ago, I did not have a firearm in my home.
Mm-hmm.
I found other ways and trained my children on how to protect my house and my wife on how to protect my home without using a bullet.
But also,
But at the same time,
you are not in the 48205.
I am definitely not in the 48.
205.
I'm not in this
Not
area code.
in the red zone.
But the issues that you're talking about, especially with the school shootings, is more apt to happen with my children than it would be for the children here in the 48205.
Facts. Facts.
You know, I have to have.
So
I had
that
to
threat
have-
is bigger.
I literally had to
Yeah.
have a conversation and train my children on what to do when you have a school shooter situation,
Active
happen,
shooter, yeah, for
which
sure.
is more apt to happen where I live than it is here in the inner city.
True.
That's just flat out.
I got you.
And that is something that scares the hell out of me because
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have to have that conversation for my child just to go get an education.
True.
You know, so I am looking for any and every kind of solution to this, and I would like the people that we put in elected offices to stop being such little
Bitches, you said it already. You might
little
as well stick
bitches
with it.
and actually step up to the plate and figure out something so that it make access to all these school shootings not
Yeah.
a reality of what my kids have to deal with.
I figured they. Square, what you say, bro?
It's crazy. I'm torn because I hate what guns do, but my whole family know how to shoot. We got guns. We
Yeah.
got ammo. But I think it should be limited. I think it should be more stringent. People who can get them and who have access to them. I agree with the pricing and everything, so I agree with that. But once again, I think it would affect me specifically if some of those was in place. because I see it now. Because I'm looking for ammo now, and it's scarce, high,
Yeah.
and I'm just looking for target practice. So
Right.
it's hard, man. I think if you live in the U.S., you know they will never give up their gun rights.
Right.
So
Facts.
you gotta go somewhere else.
Facts.
You
You gotta go to Amsterdam or some shit. Oh, no, they ain't got guns in
Every
Amsterdam.
day they'll die for it. Like,
Right.
lie down and die for it. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
That.
No, facts though. But what you say, bro?
Square said, you know, America's never gonna give up their gun rights.
Yeah.
And when I think about that, I'm thinking mostly white folks. And as long as they have guns,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have guns. As long as they have rounds, I'm gonna have rounds. Simple as that. Making around $120 or $200 or whatever it is, I mean, that's never gonna happen. I mean, that's just not realistic. I mean,
Should be.
It maybe.
So it should be,
I'm
but it
just
won't
saying,
be.
these ammo manufacturers, that's just, they won't go for that.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen.
It's big business.
You know, yeah,
Capitalism.
it's huge business.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
shit. I mean, yeah, I'm a gun owner. Like I own multiple firearms. You know, more than the average person, right?
Probably some GI Bow.
I have more rounds than I've got a lot of rounds. You know,
Was that scene how my man Arnold Schwarzenegger, he had his daughter stolen, kidnapped, and he had that big gun locker out in the shed full of guns. That's both.
Oh yeah, you stupid as hell.
yeah. But I mean, yeah. Access, you know, things like that. Yeah, that needs to be looked at. Like I've been saying, background checks, and, you know, training and that type of stuff. Like, those are ways to. I'm not gonna say eliminate it. You know, those are ways to mitigate what's going on. You know, do I have 100% answer? No, I don't. I really don't.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, I'm gonna tell you this. Like, I feel bad about the shootings and shit like that. I don't want this shit to happen. You know, but yeah, I mean, but it's on your politicians. You know, it's.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, on that note, dog, we just go. I'm gonna round it off and shit. We gonna end it off, and then we'll get off this live. But on that note, I think that obviously there does need to be some sort of solution. But again, as I said this shit off camera, and I said it earlier, I think it's a social thing. It's not a commodity issue. When I say commodity, I just mean anything that can be bought and sold. So the guns, the ammo, any of that thing. I don't think that that's gonna be the solution. Socially, some things got to change because. Like, school shootings didn't happen because guns and bullets was available, because guns and bullets been available. School shootings happened because something fucked up socially. That shit got to be fixed. So whether that be mental issues or societal issues, whatever it is, those things are the things that need to be changed because, like, nigga, the gun and the bullet been there. School shootings just started. That shit ain't come from the bullets. That shit came from people being fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So I think socially something needs to change. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but changing the trade of guns, and when I say trade, I just mean like the commerce period of guns and bullets, the accessibility. I don't think that changes school shootings. I think that if you make that motherfucker $1,000, schools go still get shot up. Like I don't think that's go really slow it down because motherfuckers who got access to bullets gonna always have access to bullets, whether that be at $1,000 or they getting on the black market for $22. Like it's gonna be available. Schools gonna be still getting shot up if socially something isn't fixed. That's just my idea on the shit. But this is a crazy ass conversation, and I'm ready to finish getting drunkerer. So we'll get back to the happy part of fucking happy hour. So the whole squad about to dip out to motherfucking Easy Street Saloon, man, 16101 East 10 Mile Road, dog. If you checking us out right now, we about to pull up. My man Monk Money slinging chickens out the kitchen. We about to slide up there, man, get a couple of chicken sandwiches, some lamb chops, and all that good shit. Shrimp and grits is back. Motherfucking shrimp linguine. Add motherfucking chicken. That shit is so. Dog, that shit so motherfucking good.
Shrimp and grits, boy.
That shit so good. But we about to get out of here, though. I want to thank everybody who checked us out, man. Make sure that you do hit that subscribe button to our YouTube channel so that you get a notification every time we go live. And we about this bitch, man. It's BBW Happy Hour. You already know what it is. My man, Classic Pothead just woke up and shit. He back to the land of the living and shit. I couldn't ask that nigga no questions because he did. That nigga was asleep. He did. My man Square holding it down, though.
Why?
My man Angry Principal in the building.
Drink what you like, how you like.
Bo holding it down.
I'll say.
And of course, man, it's your boy Q Lewis holding it down live for the 48205, man. Peace out, y'all. Hey, that nigga was